Welcome back to the App Maker for Jira tutorial video series. We're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into UI components so that you understand exactly how they work and some of the more nuanced components of them. Now, some of the stuff that you'll learn in this video will actually be applicable to all parts of the tool, but this is going to be more specifically focused on UI components, but there are similar patterns here that you'll be able to use everywhere. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about modules. You see module is one of the items here that's listed in the table for UI components. Now, module is the word that it's used by Atlassian to describe areas in the UI where you can add your own custom applications. So that's the areas where we, as a no-code, low-code app builder, are able to inject content into the UI. So to play around with this to show you how it works, we're going to create a new UI component. So I'm going to hit new, and I'm going to grab some template that I've already created off the screen. I'm going to delete this, what I got here, the temp one, and I'm going to add this in. So this is something that we created previously. We've already seen this, my first app widget. So I'm going to save that. We used this in the introductory series. I'm going to go back to App Maker, and I'm going to look at that in the UI so you can see. I mean, you can see here it's showing up in the Jira issue context module, which is this sidebar here on a Jira issue. Now, that's great. We've already shown you that. You know how that works. So let's show you a different module to understand how these things work a bit better. If you want to close that and go back up to the app settings, and we're going to go down, and we're not going to edit this one because you actually can't edit the module that a UI component is added to. The module is kind of hard coded into each UI component because obviously UI components are really tightly coupled to the UI. So if you want to change where a particular UI component is rendered, you want to change the module, you need to clone the UI component and then change the module used in the cloned one. You can't edit it on the original one. You can edit everything inside the UI component, but you can't edit where it's actually placed. So I'm going to hit clone. And you'll see here now, this is basically dropped me into the editor, and it has got all the content from the previous one. But if I look at the title, you'll see it's my first app clone because we cloned it, and so it adds this into the title. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the module from Jira issue context to Jira issue activity. And you'll see here that there's now an error showing up down the bottom. Now, I'm going to take this error in a second, but I'm also going to remove this clone from the title because now that the UI component is being rendered in a different module, it don't want it needs this unique title, so we can reuse the title from before, but we need to fix this error. So look down the bottom and it says invalid top-level component type for module Jira issue activity. Extracted tab panel got stacked information group. Now, what that means is each module expects a certain component to be at the top of the UI component, a certain type, to be at the top of the UI component kind of like hierarchy. And that is so that we can maintain nice, consistent styling and design so that everything you create matches the existing look and feel of your Jira site. Because we don't want you creating things that can look, going to create bad experiences for your users. We want to take that effort away so that you don't have to think about, is this going to look good? Is this going to be nice to use? We do all that for you. And so we've added validation in here so that you have to use certain top level component types depending on where the module is. Now, important to note, that's only at the top level. So where we have stacked information group, the Jira issue context supports a stacked information group at the top level, but the Jira issue activity does not. Jira issue activity needs a tab panel to be at the top level, and that's how we allow you to have multiple apps within the same Jira issue activity. So the section is we have each of them in a separate tab, and we'll show you exactly what that means in a second. So stay tuned, and in the next video, we're going to go and we're going to fix this error, and we're going to show you what that looks like once it's all resolved and the module has been changed. Now, an important thing to note is that in our documentation, we have what we call a modules reference. And the modules reference shows you exactly what top-level components can be used in each module. So if I jump over here to the modules reference and I go down to the issue activity, you can see here that it says this module requires a tab panel component as a top-level component of any apps placement. So if you want to know in advance exactly what top-level component you need to have in a particular module, that is all available from our documentation by hitting the reference drop-down and then going to the modules reference. What you'll also see here on this modules reference real quickly is we show you a quick screenshot of exactly what each module looks like in the app. So you could see here where it's going to get rendered, so you know what's going to look like, and so you're not kind of flying blind. So you can see here the issue activity is part of this section here in the Jira issue. So it'll add a new item to the activity panel down here, and it says, like I said, for new tab panel at the top level. All right, so jumping back to our actual app then, what do we need to do to fix this? Well, it says our errors are pretty clear. It says you need a tab panel as a top level in the UI component. So let's fix that now. So I'm going to grab this whole object here, the existing component data, and I'm going to cut that because I want to reuse that. I will use that in a second. And it's still going to drop in here and add a new object, and I'm going to make it a type of tab cal, like it said before. All right, now you see here there's still errors, but they're now different errors. So it says here, property tab title is required on tab panel object, property children is required on tab panel object. So you can see here our errors are really clear. It tells you exactly what you need to do in order to make a thing work. So what we need to do here is we go, all right, well, it said needed a, tab title. That need tab title. So we go here, going to tab title. So this is basically just what's going to show up in the title of the tab. So I'm going to go my first app tab, great. And now it says property children is required on type panel object. All right, let's add that. I'm going to go to children, and now that's a list because it's a list of different components you want to have as the children. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just chuck the sacked information group that I had before. I'm just going to paste that back in here because I've really make thing there. And now it's a little bit messy, so I'm going to hit the format button just to make it easier to read and cool. Great. All right, we're done. So we've added the tab panel in, we've given it a title, we've added that's children list, and then we've just added that existing sacked information group that we already had back in there as children on this, and you can see there's now no more errors. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to save this now. And you will see here there's now two. Now, I kept the title the same. I can do that because they're in different modules. If they were in the same module, these titles would have to be different so that they could be uniquely identified. And the app would obviously throw an error if you had those as the same. So I'm going to go back to project. We're going to load up that project now. And we're going to scroll down. And you can see here that our first app is still there because we didn't delete that or change that. But if you see over here, there's now this custom apps sort of section in the activity panel. I'm going to click on that. It's going to load up our custom app here in the activity panel. And you can see here there's a tab. Now, if I had multiple apps in this module, they would all be listed here as separate tabs. And under that tab, you'll see the My First App with the app name and the My First App. And this is all of the content that's been pulled across from the app that we just created by cloning this app and creating a new one, which is inside a tab panel over here. So that's what it looks like when you move a UI component or you clone a UI component to a new module. So really quickly, we're going to go back to the apps, and we're going to go back here, and we're just going to clean everything up. So we're going to delete both of these, so we don't need them anymore. And then in this tutorial, you've learned how to create UI components, but you've also learned how to create UI components in different parts of the UI, and you've also learned where to find the reference documentation to see all of the modules that you can use to create components anywhere in the product. You've also learned how to debug errors with UI components and how to use different top-level components inside those modules. You've also finally learned how to nest components inside each other. So next up, we're going to be looking at some of the ways you can make your apps dynamic and more flexible.